Peace and grace. When discussing the Coptic Epact Formula, we need to start by saying that it was first championed by Anba Demetrius the Vine Dresser, and then by mid-3rd century, the Alexandrian Anba Anatolius introduced the concept of the 19-year Metonic cycle, and such a formula became authoritative by the 4th century in the Council of Nicaea, where the forefathers have fixed the vernal equinox to be the 21st of March. That is, it's an ecclesiastical vernal equinox. 2 points worth noting. The forefathers aimed for the Coptic Epact calculation to get rid of any astronomical phenomena or even any calculations or observations made by the Jews. And secondly, for the reckoning of the Feast of the Resurrection to rely on simple methods of calculation using only integers rather than fractions or complex arithmetic operations. On the Metonic cycle, it is a 19-year cycle to account for the average drift of the solar year from the lunar year, as it was observed that by the first year, the age of the moon is such an age on the 26th of Farmothi or the 22nd of March, and on average, the lunar year is 11 days shorter than the solar year, and that's why the number 11 is used, so that it attempts to approximate both the lunar and solar years in the equation. Not forgetting to say that the apocty is the Coptic word for epact, which means remainder. And the first step is to subtract 1 from the year of the martyrs and apply the operation modulo 19. Modulo is basically a division operation where it returns an integer value rather than a fraction. And that is y, the remainder. We take y and multiply it by 11, which is the average difference between the lunar year and the solar year, and it returns the value epsilon, or z if the value is greater than 30, and then we apply modulo 30 to get the value of epsilon. Then we subtract epsilon from 40. 40 is a fixed number. To get nu, and nu is the day of the slaughtering of the Passover lamb in numbers. Now that we have established the date of the slaughtering of the Passover lamb, we need to determine on which weekday that falls in a specific year. So we will rely on 3 more steps, which are called the solar cycle of the Epact formula. We subtract 4 from the year of the martyrs and apply modulo 28. The number 28 refers to 7 days a week, 4 weeks in a month, and that returns S. We add S to the value of its quarter and only take the quotient of that value, as we are not interested in any fractions, and that returns SE, or the solar epact. Then we apply modulo 7 and that returns W, which is the weekday that the Nairouz feast falls on. And because we know that the Nairouz feast falls on the same weekday as the 1st of Baramoda, it would be easy to go back to the step where we reckon new and we would determine which weekday the slaughtering of the Passover lamb falls on, and we take the Sunday after to be the Feast of the Resurrection. Please note that there is only one exception to the Coptic Epact formula, whereby in the first step, if y is equal to 0, we would consider it 19, and through a simple calculation, we would get the epact as 29, but the value 29 could never be used as an epact, and therefore we add 1 to that value to become 30, and that means that the slaughtering of the lamb will fall on the 10th of Baramuda. That exception is known as the Saltas Luni, or the leap of the moon, and that is in essence the Coptic Epact formula. Please note that this formula has been used for all those ages, and it never happened that the Feast of the Resurrection occurred 8 or more days after the date of the slaughtering of the lamb. And God always shows us his miracle of the holy fire appearing on the eve of the Feast of the Resurrection, as decided by the Coptic Epact calculation throughout the ages and on a yearly basis for at least 12 centuries, but before then there were sporadic appearances every few years. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I would like to request that you pray for me and pray for my family. Thank you.